Alright guys, so I'm going to be doing a review of a comic I've been dying to get out there and read, and again, gotta thank my bro Chris for sending me this book. Dude, I know you're watching. I don't think I say it enough, is that I deeply appreciate all the help you do for sending me these books, keeping the channel alive, getting me at least videos I can have, and basically giving me the opportunity to read these books I wouldn't be able to afford by myself, and like consistently afford reading by myself. So, you know, I deeply appreciate you, brother. I greatly appreciate that, you know, everything you do for me and everything you do for this channel. You know, never I've never once taken it for granted. Never once have I taken this this whole thing for granted. Anyway, so let's get into talking about this book, Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1, Married with Children. Oh yeah, this has been the Ultimate Universe book that everyone has talked about. Like, this has been the comic that everyone wants to, has been raving about. And, you know, Jonathan Hickman has basically rebooted the Ultimate Universe, and I didn't, again, the first Ultimate book I read was Ultimate Black Panther, and then I got a better understanding of reading more. This is why I wanted to read Ultimate Invasion first. Before I read Ultimate Spider-Man, I was like, alright, there are clearly some things going on in that happened in Ultimate Invasion, that happened in Ultimate Black Panther that I didn't fully understand. So it was better for me to read this book as it is. Like, read Ultimate Invasion first. That way, when I get to Ultimate Spider-Man, I'll be able to, like, better understand what the situation and what this comic calls for. And yeah, so here we are. So this is written by Jonathan Hickman, and basically, if you guys remember in Ultimate Invasion, the Maker basically stopped Peter from ever becoming Spider-Man. He killed the spider that was supposed to bite him, and Peter is now 35 years old and is now married to Mary Jane, and they have kids, Richard and May Parker. And now, after the events of Ultimate Invasion, he's greeted by Tony Stark, who gives him the Ultimate Tony Stark, who gives him the spider, and now Peter has to be bit by the spider again, and now he's in his 30s. Rather than growing up with this power, he has to learn at an older age of being a superhero and learning all those things. So, I'm just gonna say it, and I know it's been said multiple times before. Why is this so goddamn hard, Marvel? Why was doing something like this impossible to do? Like, what? And I just did a video yesterday talking about, you know, the whole thing of Mary Jane doesn't love Spider-Man, she loves Peter Parker, and this comic basically proves it. Oh, we can't relate, Marvel readers can't relate to a 30-year-old guy who's married, or, I mean, we can't relate to it because we're a bunch of unhappy fucks who won't properly pay our writers. I'm sorry, am I going a little too real? But yeah, that's what it genuinely feels like, is that this comic is Hickman was like, when Nick Lowe, comes by his office, he's like, hey, I'm Nick Lowe, you remember me, Jonathan? He's just writing he's writing in the Ultimate Universe, or writing whatever. So listen, man, Ultimate Spider-Man's a little too cheery, and we don't like the idea of Peter not suffering, and being alone, and it being a dumb loser, and being married. That especially just doesn't like us. Can you just break up the marriage? Nick, I am Jonathan Hickman. I will eat you. Okay? I will fucking eat you on the spot. That's my headcanon, is that anytime Nick Lowe approaches Jonathan Hickman, Hickman threatens to eat him. He just threatens to cannibalize Nick Lowe. Anyway. Where was I? Oh, right, the comic. So, like I said, why is this so fucking hard to do, Marvel? I ask you. It took you, and it was like, yeah. Also, it almost feels like not Nick Lowe. Hickman really goes out of his way to make sure, to take away all the arguments. Like, there's a great conversation between Peter and Harry, who is the ultimate Green Goblin here, and we'll get a little more into that in a bit. But, like, there's this great conversation where he's like, you haven't told MJ yet. And he's like, yeah, have you told your wife? And he's like, yeah, man, I told her. She was there. She saw everything. And he's like, but aren't you scared that's going to affect everything? And he's like, look, Pete, I'm going to level with you. It'd be so much worse if you didn't tell them. Because either way, they're going to get hurt. It's better, like, would you rather insulate yourself and push your family away than tell them, because they're going to get hurt there's a possibility they're going to get hurt either way. So, you know, you better tell them to let them know rather than hide secrets and lose them. And I'm like, wow, it's that fucking easy? Huh. Who fucking knew? Anyway, so I really like this angle with Peter and Mary Jane. I like the whole Ultimate Parker family. It's a great also, having Peter married and with a family is a great juxtaposition to the original Ultimate Universe, where Ultimate Peter was a young kid in a high school, still trying to figure himself out. Here, it's a great difference maker, because here, Peter's like, now he's older, he's got more responsibilities. And also in here, May is the one who's dead, and Uncle Ben is still alive, and is friends with J. Jonah Jameson. And it starts, and there's also a great subplot of them after the Kingpin, like, basically buys out the Bugle. We have this great undercurrent story of Jonah and Ben basically trying to restart a new freelance paper. I really like the banter between the two of them. I know Hickman's known best for doing, like, these big, epic sci-fi kind of stories, but it's comics like these that make me go, why haven't you written, like, more street-level stuff? Like, he has I was a little, I found it odd that Hickman, I knew Hulk Hickman was going to be doing the Ultimates, and that's where a lot of his, like, big, crazy, high concept science fiction stuff is. And that was the same with a lot of his X-Men and a few other things. But when he was writing when he said, yeah, I'm doing Ultimate Spider-Man 2 along with Ultimates and kind of shepherding the Ultimate Universe among all that, I was like, is he the right guy? Because I figured, like, they would try to get Zdarsky back for an Ultimate Spider-Man run to do this. But Hickman was like, no, I got it. And I was kind of like, do you? But then I start reading this and I'm like, this can't be Hickman, right? Like, it's really good, don't get me wrong, and Hickman's a great writer. But I was kind of like, this just isn't normally Hickman's thing. Like, and like going back and reading his X-Men stuff, yeah, he got the Summers family angle down. I really loved what he did with the Summers family, but to, like, do, like, a almost like sitcom in some cases where we follow Peter, who's in this, like, big family sitcom kind of story with superhero antics, it's actually really nice. Like, it's actually, like, again, wow, Hickman, you are surprising me with your writing. And I always knew you were a good writer. I just wasn't expecting you to do, like, street level stuff and family and family stuff along with it. So cool. So yeah, this first volume basically has the first 6 issues, and I love that nothing is wasted. There is, like, a few, like, there is issue 4, which is very dialogue heavy, and issue 5, which talks about the origin for Ultimate Green Goblin and Harry Osborn himself. But nothing feels wasted. Like, all 6 issues feel like one big consecutive story arc of Peter figuring out who he is and what he wants to do with his life. I genuinely appreciate that. I think this is a great story to really play with. I really do enjoy that angle. I like that, this tells, like, one big story, and I love the whole thing at the end where it caps off issue 6 just ends perfectly with Spider-Man finally getting his name. And also, Marco Cicchetto's artwork. I don't say it enough, but Cicchetto's probably one of my favorite artists in the industry right now. And it's like, it's shit like this. Man, he is so good. Like, I loved him in Zdarsky's Daredevil run. But yeah, I did love that final scene where MJ's like, isn't it obvious, Peter? You're Spider-Man. And it's MJ who gives him the name. I also really like Richard and May. I'm not going to say, I'm not 100% sure, but it really does feel like Richard, his eldest son, has autism. Like, I think they've kind of hinted at that, like they're trying to hint at that, and maybe they have in future stuff. Also, real quick, please do not spoil, I've just read volume 1, I'm waiting for trade, so please don't spoil future issues. it also, I really like the juxtaposition between Peter and Harry in here, because they didn't grow up friends. They become friends through mutual means. And it's very clear that Harry, his war with the Kingpin, is more about, you know, avenging his parents no matter what, whereas Peter's trying to, like, he's got a life. And there's also this undercurrent where I'm sure Hickman's going to stab us all in the heart, where, yeah, they're fighting Ultimate Bullseye, and there's basically a moment where he says, yeah, there's gonna come a moment where you're gonna run into, you know, loss. And I think I know what's gonna happen, and again, I haven't read any of the future issues, so please don't spoil it in the comments below. Where I think what's gonna happen is that Ultimate... because Harry in here, in the Ultimate Universe, his wife is Gwen Stacy. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to get the ultimate version of the death of Gwen Stacy, and we've already seen Harry in this throughout this comic have a little more extreme measures. So I think Peter and the Goblin, you know, Peter and Harry are going to have like this fallout, kind of like Megatron and Optimus in Transformers 1. That's the best way I can describe it. And I do think we're also going to get the death of Ben, but I wouldn't put past Hickman to like emotionally kick us all in the balls and get the kids killed. Or one of the kids killed, or MJ. Wouldn't put it past him, but yeah. It's a great comic. It's probably the best Ultimate book I've read so far. Again, I haven't read... Ultimates hasn't been out in trade yet, and Ultimate X-Men I haven't read yet, and I don't... like... I'd like to give at least the first volume a look. But so far, yeah, to the shock of no one, Ultimate Spider-Man is the best damn thing in the Ultimate Universe. So yeah. Highly recommended, and Chris, thank you once again for sending it to me. And you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of it? Comment below, let me know. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.